30-second update on where we are with the Green Den bar design. I think, as you guys know, you saw the previous set of elevations and interior sketches that Michael Grant had done at the last meeting. Michael is proceeding to work on it. He's working on the finishes and the fixtures now. So hopefully we can come up with a second spin of that design, do a little bit more aesthetic work on it, and then start working on the grants and the build-out plan. So everything's moving forward. You ready?
I'm Linda Lancaster, and I'm the director of Friends of Harrison Park, and I know most of you, but I don't know if you know me in that role. We have been very busy this last year. We incorporated in January 2018 and have been working on getting ourselves organized. We have basically two missions. One is to help with fundraising to support capital improvements at Harrison Park, and the other is to develop programs and activities that bring people into the park and make it more enjoyable for the community. We have been looking so far at 16 different projects that we want to try to undertake in the next year or so, but there are 4 in particular that we're interested in getting done this quarter. And what we would like to do is make sure that what we are proposing is something that the City Council is supportive of. I have a packet that I asked the mayor to distribute to everyone. I hope you all had an opportunity to look at it. And if you have questions, I certainly would like to respond to those if you'd like to ask them. But I'll just quickly touch on each of the 4 projects, and then if you have something you want to ask or share, then that'd be great. The first one is a Bluebird Trail. And the Bluebird Trail is essentially an opportunity to place bluebird nesting boxes and feeders in an area that makes them protected for the bluebirds. And we have plans to install 10 bluebird boxes and 3 feeders in the park. What we would like to do is start out with 6 feeders, 6 nesting boxes, and then go from there and make sure that we are placing them appropriately. And then after that, we may want to expand it to 10 boxes. But we're trying to start out slow and learn as we go. So I provided some pictures of those for you. The nesting boxes, Mike just showed you one of those, and they'll be up on like a 6-foot pole. The feeders will be in about the same area, and they're just a little bit larger box. So our goal would be to try to get those in, get them built and get them installed in February, because the bluebirds are already starting to look for homes right now. And if we don't go ahead and get them in the ground and ready for the birds to discover them, then we'll probably miss out on at least 1 or 2 broods of birds this year. So we kind of got a little bit of a sense of urgency around that. There's a map that I placed in your packet that shows the locations where we wanted to place the boxes. The idea is to put them outside of the tree line, but not too far into the center of the park, because we want the birds to feel protected on both sides. But there are sort of some, I guess, well-known rules about how you place the boxes. The holes need to face the east, and a lot of things like that we are planning to try to incorporate. A lot of what we've learned about this project and the other 2 that I'll be talking about next came from a visit we took to Marietta, to the Green Meadows. Thank you, Green Meadows Preserve. They have a bluebird trail there with 20-something boxes, and we have met with their expert and went down and toured the location, and we're very impressed with what he's doing, and he's very knowledgeable, and we feel like with his help we'll be able to do a good job here. Once we get them established, we think it'll be a great opportunity to partner with the schools and possibly with some of the senior groups to have little tours and allow them to come and look in the boxes or see what's going on over there. So we're real excited about what this can do, not only for the bluebird population, but for our citizens as well. So that's the Bluebird Trail. Any questions or anything that you would like to share with me about your thoughts? The next one then is, we're calling it Project Doggy Poop. But basically all we're wanting to do is put up 2 dog waste system stations in the park. We'd like to put one near the kiosk that's there right now, so that people coming into the park from the parking lot will be able to pick up a bag, and they'll also be able to deposit the bag in the container once they leave the park. And we want to put another one toward the back end of the park for people who forgot to pick up their bag on the way in. Friends of Harrison Park is planning to provide those stations. We're going to be hoping to get sponsors from some of our local vets and possibly pet stores. But we are planning to fund that directly, and we'll also be maintaining them. We'll be making sure that the boxes are emptied on a regular basis, and that there are plenty of bags in the stations at all times. So that's something that we intend to take on ongoing once we've installed those. We want to do metal ones. They cost somewhere between $200 and $300 because we want to make sure that we put in some substantial units that will last a long time, that we don't have to worry about being easily damaged or vandalized. Any questions about that one? The next one is we're calling Project Park Info. And what we realized is that it was going to be important, especially as we start coming up with new programs, to have a place where we can put posters up and advertise the events and activities that Friends of Harrison Park are sponsoring in the park. And we want to have that available in the park for people to see when they come and walk and when they come for other events. So our thoughts are to utilize the backside of the existing kiosk to place information about Friends of Harrison Park and events, not only the ones that Friends are planning, but also any other events that might be taking place in the park that need to be advertised to the public. So we've got a couple ways we can do this. When I first started talking about it, and when I talked with the mayor, we were thinking about purchasing a metal framed box that could lock, and it is hinged and easy for somebody as tall as me to be able to access it and put the materials inside. But it looks like it's possible for us to actually retrofit the case that's there now, possibly change the hinging to the side instead of at the top, and attach a locking mechanism to it. So it looks like it would be a fairly simple thing for us to implement, and could be done fairly quickly as well, so that we can be ready to start doing some promotions and advertising this spring. Whatever the cost would be, we're certainly planning to incur it and pay for it through our Friends of Harrison Park contributions. So those are the first 3, and those are pretty much small-term projects that we hope we can accomplish in the next few weeks. The 4th item is something that will take a little bit longer to implement, but what we have realized as we've worked with the Harrison Park Advisory Board and have looked at some of the longer-term priorities for the park is that we really need a very clearly defined, laid-out master plan for the park. So the Friends of Harrison Park have felt like that this would be a good project for us to undertake, to get a request for proposal put together and submitted to a number of architectural firms and get them to bid on creating this master plan for us. So it would be taking the work from the charrette that we did a couple of years ago and as a starting point, and from there we would get very specific about the various items that we want to show how they're going to be placed in the park. We'd be looking at infrastructure, both electrical and water, and we'd be looking at some small things as well as some of the large things that we're hoping to implement in the park. So if we do this right and we do it over a horizon of something like 8 to 10 years, then there won't be any debate or question when it's time for us to try to implement the next capital improvement. We'll know where it needs to be placed. We'll know that it's in the right place because we will have had the benefit of these firms who have already had experience in park design. And it'll just make it a lot smoother and easier to move forward, and we'll know that we're using the park in the best possible way. So we really are looking for, from the council, is I guess your support and concurrence that this is a good thing to do, and then once we have submitted the RFP and received the information back, then we'll come back to the council and give you a readout and let you know what we've determined and how we would propose to move forward with getting the master plan created with the particular firm that we feel like would do the best job. So I think that's all I have to share right now. Any questions or anything that you need further from me?
May I say something?
Sure.
I appreciate the work that you've done on this. From your organization, have you made recommendations to our group?
Your advisory board?
Right.
Yes, in fact, I attend, and some of our other members try to attend those meetings on a regular basis. And all the things that I just covered here were presented to the advisory board to get their initial support and concurrence before we came to the council. And I believe we have that. Mike, you're the president of that board, I'm sure.
So
Let
that's
me know.
that's been presented to the mayor?
On multiple occasions. In fact, I believe Linda and Councilman Fuller met with the mayor about a week ago, I think.
So what we want to do as Friends of Harrison Park is to work directly with the city and with the advisory board. We don't see ourselves as, operating in our own little world. We hope that we can be a real force for fundraising. That's probably one of the most important roles that we see for our organization. But we also know that there are a lot of opportunities to do good things at the park on a smaller scale. And that's what we're really hoping to accomplish with some of these kinds of projects. Thank you.
Thank you. None of these are on the agenda tonight for action. And tell me your thoughts. I mean, we're still in workshop. The Bluebirds, I feel like is fine to go ahead and move forward with, and the dogs, the food stations, I think it's fine to move forward with. The kiosk, I don't have an issue with. When we spoke, you were gonna try to find another frame with different doors, but if we can retrofit that one, we've looked at it too, the hinges, I have no issue with that unless some of you do.
I think all the ideas sound great.
The master plan, thoughts on that?
Well, I'd like for us to have a workshop on it, maybe before the next meeting, before we did anything on that, but I don't see anything in there that's a problem. And I appreciate the work y'all done. I know that Linda's, although she's not a member of the advisory board, she's at every meeting, I think, that's everything, so looks good to me.
So we'll move forward with those first three
And then have a workshop on the master plan. Thank you. Okay, well, I know we'll have a lot of happy friends when I get back and report on this. Thank you.
While we're in the workshop, we're passing around the 2 condemnations for, this is the first reading. Some of these things have been in disrepair for years and years. But the address is 47 Boardtown Road and 292 Cox Creek Road. But this has been in disrepair for years. And, the first reading will be tonight. But, you know, I would recommend that we go ahead and pass you know, we have the first reading so that we will begin the process for the condemnation.
And it'll be on next month's agenda.
Yeah, it will be on the next month's agenda for action.
Don't tell Chief.
You missed a project, I'll be putting Al, the review and action on the Joint Development Authority appointment. Have we,
Lex Rainey's willing to continue to serve.
Be
It'll be
reappointed.
for a 4-year term, and it's actually be retroactive to January 1st. It expired on December 31st, and y'all want to reappoint.
Looked over those audit quotes.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we just put the quote at the beginning instead of the end of the 12-page? You know what I'm talking about? And it was the one that we've been using, didn't they?
The cheapest was Welch Walker at 12,000.
Okay.
R.L. Jennings was
That was
12,500.
12,500.
Yeah, and then Rushton out.
And then was that one a 3-year proposal or just a 1-year proposal?
They gave a 3-year proposal, but they didn't specify that you're required to use them 3 years to get the price, so
Is that what we've been doing?
we
The
did
3-year?
pass.
I thought so.
and is there any questions about the review and actions on the alcohol, both on and off premise? I think everybody's aware of what it is.
The only one is if we wanna waive that 60-day waiting period on the one,
Like Katrina.
yeah, the La Katrina.
It's been 30 days have already passed, right? So it's, you're only waiting 30 of the 60. I mean, they're already open and running.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Oh, fine.
Not likely.
I don't think so.
Me too. They would've been hard for us to get. I'm going down there this weekend. Just to have the experience.
Is City Hall open tomorrow?
Probably not.
I noticed the county.
County's closing school too. And,
Our office is closed tomorrow too. And because we get notifications from 911 all during the day. And I mean, this one doesn't seem like it's questionable. It seems like we're just waiting for it to happen. Is that what you think?
I don't know if we'll wake up to snow in the morning, but it's definitely between the sweet spot somewhere between 8 and 10. So it puts it on.
me. You didn't show up last meeting. You still wondering in the wilderness.
I've not watched it consistently, but I've seen some episodes. Yeah. And she is the government science county. Well, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, there's Did you get first on it?
You're headed.
You got some shot.
We would get.
Oh,